My favorite moment, I think, was just like anytime they stitched together past episodes, just because we had speculated that they would be doing some of that, but there's so many moments that like I just totally didn't clock. I just think the writing of this episode was not an easy task and needs to be entered for an Emmy submission category because it is just like, oh my God, it's not easy to write scripts like this.
Welcome back to the after show here on the Breakroom for Agatha All Along. Take a seat and pick a card because your path runs out of time. Is anyone gonna be alive by the end of this series? Hit that graphic.
After show. I'm trying to do a good Patti LuPone after show.
Oh, mama, it's the after show.
Mama's getting loose. Mama's on her own. Mama doesn't care. It's a great
watch
rose.
Gypsy. It's a great rose.
It's the best rose.
This is the after show for episode 7 of Agatha All Along, Death's Hand in Mine. Are the Salem Seven gone for good? What will Team find at the end of this road? And will death just get off my back already? We'll get into that and more. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, he was the inspiration for the Wicked Witch of the West. It's Erik Voss.
That's right. Louis B. Mayer, I got a lot of dirt on you.
Don't we all? Also joining us today, she is the Traveler. She is the Queen of Cups. It's Jessica Clemons.
I will also die at the end of this episode.
Oh,
no!
John, get the sword. John, the sword.
Fetch my sword.
I truly have so many.
We do. We have a million here, and they're all missing somehow.
Lots of mini katanas. And finally, she's got the cheekbones to pull off the Maleficent look. From the Love in the Time of Hydra podcast, it's Jamie Jirak.
Wow, thank you. I would die for death.
Yeah, I'm ready to die if that's who's gonna show up when I die, right?
That's also just like a funny sentence for someone that has not watched the show. I would die for death. It's like, okay. What does that mean?
Jamie, we're so glad we could finally have you here on the Rockstars.
Being on for Agatha, I'm just so honored because I've been on a podcast tour, different podcast for every episode of Agatha.
Yay!
And I am just so excited that this was one of my stops.
I'm glad it's this episode too. This episode was beautiful.
The best one of the season.
And we can't wait for you to rank all those podcasts at the end of this season. Stick around for that. We'll get her true rankings. We've also got John and Berg tracking your questions live. We're going to hit as many as we can towards the end of the episode, so keep sending those in. If you're in the YouTube chat, send in some super chats. Let's see what you got. Let's see your thoughts, your theories, your questions. Send them all in. Hey, and don't forget to check out nerdriot.shop for some fun Agatha-inspired merch. You can get this lovely sigil hat, which also comes in different designs. You can get on a shirt. You can get a Boner Family Reunion shirt. And also a Boner Family Reunion tote, I believe. Hat's broken.
Look at that nice ass hat.
The sigil has been broken.
I want to wear that.
That's all. I was gonna showcase how it fits on every size head because I have a really big head, and then I don't have time to fix it, but it does work. I
believe you.
Yes, thank you.
Look at it, it fits on every head.
The hat's name is Billy Maximoff.
Oh.
We now know that to be the truth.
Or is it William? We'll never know. Check out nerdriot.shop. It's a great way to support all the channels in the new Rockstars network. But for now, we got to get into this episode. Erik, give us a quick little recap of what happened in episode 7.
I'm on it, Brandon. It's time for the trial of Lilia Calderu as we finally see the world from her perspective as she jumps around time as Lilia races to finish her tarot reading trial before her coven is crushed by the Ceiling of Swords. We put the pieces of her time gaps in order and finally get confirmation that Rio Vidal is death. And Agatha knew all along. But it's too late for Lilia because her maestra says death comes for us all.
Well, also, quick question. Is that true in Agatha all along? Because Agatha is basically immortal. Or it feels like she's immortal.
But is it just because she's had this deal with death? Is that the only reason she's been immortal?
But just because I think that the witches live a long time,
Yeah.
but that does not mean they're immortal.
Right.
In a sense that, like, they can still die.
Right.
Like the Asgardians, kind of.
Yeah,
Right?
because Lilia's like 5 centuries old, and none of them are like that old, right? On the coven.
I think Alice is the only one who's her actual age.
She's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, will she die at normal speed, like at 60? Normal speed.
60?
Sorry. Yeah, wait a minute.
way beyond
Wait a
60.
minute.
Is it 1890? No, 60 is... Well, I don't know. Our longevity rates are going down in this country
My bad. Sorry,
due to
John.
horrifying realities.
No, I think this is a good.
Still coming out.
I think it's a good tie-in for our first super chat from Brandy saying, "What do you think about the ballad lyric? Quote: I'll see you at the end. all my witches are coming back, right? They ask.
I hope so.
Or is
God,
it like
I hope
you
so.
see like a spectral form of
It's
the
the
witches,
end of
their
Return of the
souls
Jedi.
or something, and it's kind of like a roundup. At
Like
the end.
Abe Lincoln and the crocodile and
No, it's like the end of
Happy
Return of
Gilmore?
the Jedi when the ghosts are standing there and they're all waving.
I think that's what it is, because in the James Robinson run of the comics, Agatha is a ghost.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're
Yeah.
going to necessarily get Agatha ghost, but I think we're going to get everyone who's died. as a
Well, what
ghost.
if we do get Agatha Ghost? What if she sacrifices herself because the entire like the hearts, what was her card? I forget, but it was like, oh, this person might
the
sacrifice
Three of
herself for her
Swords.
coven.
We heard
If she-
Rio say she hates ghosts in episodes.
And she's like, I'm gonna
5?
become what this woman hates the most. But I could see still her becoming a ghost, and that would be a nice like ending for Agatha. Is just like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself at the end of the road for my coven, and hopefully they can come back, and then we get her spirit form. Oh, that would be very fun. I want to see that.
I like that.
How will she kiss death if she's a ghost?
It'll just go
I
through.
think we'll have to watch the movie Ghost, my friends.
I don't think-
Whoopi's gonna need to enter the scene.
Jamie, I know you love death. I know you love death. Do we want Agatha with death at the end?
Okay, yes, but I don't think it's gonna happen. As long as we get some kind of kiss, I'm happy. Like a flashback is
Oh
fine.
yeah, I think we're gonna get a flashback.
Yeah,
for sure.
but if I mean, I love the idea. Like death in the comics with Thanos is like, no, I don't want to see that now. I don't want to see.
Yeah,
I don't need to
with
see that.
Thanos. No, thank
Good.
you.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. People were asking, does this mean that like we're gonna see death with like Josh Brolin Thanos or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? And I'm like, I don't think we need to see that. I think we're good.
Are we gonna interpret that this is like the Lady Death from the comics? Are we gonna act like it, or can we just say like Lady Death doesn't exist in the MCU? It's now just Death Aubrey Plaza.
I don't know. I think all these cosmic entities they're gonna just do different versions of in the cinematic universe. You know, I think Uatu the Watcher seems to be the only one who's pretty consistent with what Uatu is in the comics.
100.
But like whether it's Eternity, Eon, the different Celestials, their visuals may be the same. But with an actor like Aubrey Plaza, you have to imagine they're doing their own thing.
They want more than just this series, I think.
I think they're coming back.
Yeah.
You think?
I think Agatha's coming back. I think they're going to do the Children's Crusade, and she's going to take over the Magneto role.
That'd be fun.
I love that
Yeah.
theory.
I did not come up with it. I'm so sorry.
You can take it.
But I read it and I was like, that's what's up.
that
good.
makes a lot of sense.
Jamie, that's a crazy theory that you came up on.
How do you kiss death if death is a skeleton, doesn't have lips?
You can still kiss a
press
skeleton.
Tiny
Yeah.
kisses on each of the teeth.
Oh, on each of the teeth.
She's got a tongue, right?
Yeah, we saw it in the show.
I guess. I don't know. Well, before we get into some of our other remaining questions from this episode, are there any moments from the episode anyone would like to highlight? Some of their favorite things that happened in this episode?
We talked about it on our. Oh, sorry, immediately.
No, do it.
Mine is all technical because we talked about it in our reaction. I just love the cinematography and the everything that they took. But I will always love that opening shot of her falling in a black space with that pink dress.
Yeah.
I think it transcends just like what we're seeing it. I'm like, this could be a million things. The fact that she's dressed up as a witch that she genuinely does not like. She doesn't like these characters. And I'm like, she's a pink dress in this background. And I'm like, she's fading. She's fading and falling. And I love it. And I'm obsessed with that scene.
You know, black. Is this yours pink?
It's true.
Oh, sorry. Did I space out there for a second?
You were gone.
What'd I say?
You were gone.
Anyway.
You started yelling about a bookshelf.
Oh, we can move on.
Yeah, we actually went back and looked at that scene this morning because it is really beautiful. And I was wondering how they shot it. Doesn't look like it's not a digital previs kind of thing. I think they put like a stunt actor on a wire and then dropped them and filmed it. And
Well, isn't that what they kind of did with the broomsticks? I saw the blue screen of Sasir Zamata on the broomstick, and I was like, that still looked kind of, and maybe it's because they're flying, so the CG.
That was
weird.
the most CG looking thing on the
because
show.
I was like, that was kind of
right?
weird, but this looked
Yeah.
really good.
And even when the tower got reversed at the end, right, and the Salem 7 are falling, all of that looked great and practical. I mean, the Salem 7, I know they pushed you out of the way, but
Jamie doesn't know you.
Their
That's all I
physicality, like when they walked by in the tunnels, and they're kind of like bent backwards but walking forward, and they have this amorphous shape, and you don't know what's the front and what's the back. Like, great, I love that stuff.
During that moment, my boyfriend Tony, he laughed, and I was like, "What's funny?" He's like, "It's scary, but it's funny."
Yeah. It's
Like,
like
he
they're
didn't know how
weird
to,
walks.
his body didn't know what to do about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite moment, I think, was just like anytime they stitched together past episodes, just because we had speculated that they would be doing some of that, but there's so many moments that like I just totally didn't clock. Like there was the I love you guys, there was the kooky or quirky, there's just so much that
The High Priestess one surprised
The High
me that she was
Priestess,
seeing
yeah.
cards many times.
Because we had clocked her saying the 3 of Pentacles and the 3 of Swords, and then the
She says High Priestess in the second episode when she sees
yeah,
Jennifer.
right. But we didn't think that was a
I just thought she was
moment.
complimenting her in that moment. I didn't realize that was her, like, consciousness zipping back to that moment. So that blew my mind. I just think the writing of this episode was not an easy task and needs to be entered for an Emmy submission category because it is just like, oh my god, it's not easy to write scripts like this. It must have been very difficult. No, I think the laying the seeds in past episodes probably not that hard, but just the way this episode is constructed as like a very could have been bewildering experience, but they anchor us with like just 3 visits to the Maestra. And when we get to the Maestra, she just kind of has this calming presence looking directly into the camera as if we're sitting across the table from her looking at the tea leaves. And the fact that there's just like 3 of those that are equally spaced out throughout the episode, clearly a lot of work was put into outlining and structuring this episode. And I pointed out here just because people who watch this, you can't always see that just watching it on Disney+.
There was a lot of that. You mentioned that looking at the camera. I feel like they used that a lot this episode. That kind of Wes Anderson framing of the person directly in the center, staring like right down the barrel of the camera, like talking to us. That was fun. I really enjoyed that a lot. Jamie, did you have like a favorite moment from the episode?
Oh, I hate to be predictable, but hearing Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness say, "If you want straight answers, ask a straight lady," was I literally like the shock that went through my body. It's the same feeling I got when Loki said a bit of both. Because like we get crumbs, like the queer crumbs, but this show's given.
I love that this show is like, I'm gonna just write it down right here. Even him being like, I'm the queerant.
Well, and there was a moment.
I like the bad boy.
I like the bad boy.
Well, she said too, like, yes, I was your mom's ex best friend. Like, I was like, what?
Girl,
okay.
stop. Girl,
Okay.
stop.
Some good stuff.
I love her.
Great
So
stuff.
good.
this
Love a gay
episode.
show. Love a gay show.
Well, I love that this show is now, like in episode 7, it feels like they've given any people who would be on board with it a chance to bounce.
Sure.
And now they know who's here, and they're like, we're gonna just be ourselves now. Like, I just love that. I love that they're just being more open. And in the way that they're showing characters. So hopefully we get fewer crumbs and just more full slices of cake.
We're getting a kiss. We're getting a kiss.
We're getting a kiss.
Yeah, but there's no lips on death. John.
It's when the flash. I know it's during that flash. It's gonna be a flashback where she has a face.
Yeah.
Where she has a
Yeah, we
face
still haven't
that's
seen like
stuff.
Victorian era Agatha, right?
No.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't in that quick scenes with the Titanic stuff or any of that.
Not really.
The photo was, but I think there is a shot of her absorbing powers from other witches in the woods, and I think we're going to get a Salem flashback. So I think we're going back to like 1690s, and we're going back to turn of the century, which is interesting because L. Frank Baum wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, published it in 1900. So we may even see young L. Frank Baum doing a whole like, hey, it's your cousin L. Frank. Are you looking for that new
story you're trying to write?
Listen to this phonograph.
She's going.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I would watch The Wizard of Oz and I would rewind the Wicked Witch's entrance over and over. And I'd watch it over and over again. I was obsessed with that entrance. And I'm like, oh, I've really grown up to be the person I've always been.
I would always fast forward through the trees with the apples. I didn't like the way they
Scary,
treated Judy Garland.
I loved it.
Oh.
Oh, I just
They're
like
so
that.
mean. They slap her hand and then they shake her at one point.
She was taking an apple from the tree.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt the
That's
trees.
attached to them.
So if Agatha inspired Margaret Hamilton's take on the Wicked Witch of the West, does that mean that Agatha was in Hollywood in the 1930s and she knew Victor Fleming or Louis B. Mayer? And if so, why didn't she stop everything Louis B. Mayer was doing to the young starlets of the time? Why didn't you save Judy Garland from what she was going through?
I'm not trying to be this person, but Agatha was not a good person.
Yeah,
And if one thing is
She
true,
gave her
she's
the
not-
drugs.
But that's what I'm saying, and that's the thing. We always forget like what makes a villain, and I'm like, we're only seeing the like, oh, this is okay. I'm okay with this part. Nah, she was also that kind of villain.
Oh,
she was a
my
bad person.
God.
We can't like. We're
Between
not meant
this
to like.
and Dolly Parton, she just has a long list of enemies.
Also, didn't the teen say prove it? And she went, oh. Well, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe Twitter will post this about me tomorrow.
There was one part I was gonna flag it that you did do it, and I didn't. I was so hyped about the conversation about the Green Witch. Isn't that interesting? They were like the original Green Witch.
Yeah.
Look at Agatha, who is physically the Green Witch.
Yeah, she's painted green in that moment. I mean, even calling death the original Green Witch becomes death. I mean, there's the question is like, if this is cosmic death, is Rio visiting every planet and taking every soul of every alien that dies, or is she
interesting.
just like the human version of
She
death?
must be just the human
Is there
version.
is there like the death boss
You're doing
and
it,
that
John.
hires mid management?
This is a good question. I kind of took it as kind of like how it is in Sandman, like covering everybody.
Yeah.
But Sandman doesn't have aliens, I don't think. So
The interesting thing too, we've gotten to this about religion in the MCU because I'm like, there is still different gods.
Yeah,
and
there's
different
all
people.
Different
sorts
heavens.
of-
So I'm like, what if the people like she's not taking the people that go to in Thor at the end of the
Valhalla.
Yeah, Valhalla.
Yeah, she's not
She's
handling,
not, like,
the
handling
field
those
of reeds
people.
and stuff.
Yeah.
like
Oh, the
that's-
Field of Reeds too. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
her different. That's
Maybe
different.
like the witch afterlife just has its own kind of form,
Yeah.
and then the witch's road is actually like a form of the witch afterlife.
Yeah.
I could see her also being the one that takes care of the humans. Like she's like, oh yeah, I take the humans that also die. Those people don't really go anywhere, so I just handle them.
And death doesn't necessarily mean you're bad, right?
No,
like,
it's a
because
process.
death-
It's the point of life. Is death,
yeah,
so.
everybody dies.
But I think what makes her bad is that she's like, oh, I'm gonna get my body.
Yeah.
So it's like
She
she
wants them.
She
enjoys
likes
people
it.
dying.
Yeah. John, is it okay if I take a couple of super chat questions
Please,
while
yeah.
you work on this? So Ariv, thank you for your super chat. Says we see Lilia warning to Agatha in the MIN trailer, in the Minute trailer. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess this whole warning to Agatha might have shown up in the trailer. That's interesting. Hector Reyes, thank you for your super chat. Says Rio was in episode 6. Lilia handed the jacket to Rio. That's how Rio knew that he wasn't Agatha's son. I don't remember that
Handed
moment.
the jacket to Rio.
I thought he
I
handed
thought
the
that was
jacket
the
to the
mom.
mom.
I thought that was the mom.
Lily handed.
They
the
do
jacket
kind
to
of
the
look
mom.
similar,
They
the
do kinda,
actress.
Ariv, thank you again for your other super chat. What if Agatha was supposed to die with Nicholas, but the Darkhold kept her alive and she ran with it, hence the coward comment?
Oh, that'd be fun. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because they were very antagonistic in that first episode and have been less so, I think, as the show has gone on.
Sometimes you have a bad breakup, but then you start hanging out.
Yeah, sure.
And
Once you're not
you
with
forget.
them in a relationship,
Yes.
you feel better about it, right? And you're
Yeah.
you're happy to be around.
I do think though that her son died maybe naturally, and
Yeah.
Death was like, I gotta take this
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
and that's and,
Yeah.
that, and like, but for me, and like, it's my job. I really think
Yeah.
it was just as simple as that.
We
Yeah,
also-
it's 100. I believe that. Sorry, you go because I want to go back to that episode 6 question.
Well, I was gonna say we don't really know when Nicholas was alive, right? Was it the 1700s? Was it the 1900s? We don't know. Is it a situation where her and Death were palling around, having a great time, and then hundreds of years later she has a kid, and Death is like, "Hey, I have to take this kid because it's natural," and they're like, "Hey, we were buddies at that."
I think
do that.
I completely agree with that. I think it was a natural death, but then she's like, wait, no, it's my son though,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like I can't
That's
let
my
this
job.
one go. Like
Yeah.
if all of my friends wanted me to save them,
Yeah.
I would have to do that, but I can't do that. And I think that's that scar that she left on Agatha is being like, hey, I'm sorry I had to take your son, but I
Interesting.
had to take him away.
Interesting.
Going back to that episode 6 one. I really want to go back and watch all the episodes because I'm like, yes, Death is a physical being now, but I'm also like, Death just being there and maybe some people being able to see it. When the teen did originally die, was Death around the area when it happened? You know, when the car accident.
Was Death driving the other
Because I'm
truck?
like,
Yeah,
she
that's
could have
what-
been in
yeah.
the episode if she was like there.
What we need is a Death point of view episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because so much from episode 6 was just from Billy's limited perspective, and we didn't see where Rio and Agatha were, like in objective reality, where they were in the morgue, and she was saying, claw your way out, or crawl your way out. So I think we need a Death-oriented episode, and hopefully if it follows the pattern of reveal the character at the end of the episode, following episode is their point of view, I hope episode 8 is kind of just like a Rio-centric Death
100%.
timeline episode.
Because we still need Jennifer's episode.
No, I guess Jennifer's episode was technically the 3rd episode, right? The trial.
But I still have so
Under-
many
Oh,
questions
Yeah, but
about
that's
She
a lot of
doesn't
answer
right.
questions.
That was her
If
episode.
I never did that breakdown, like going over every little minuscule thing Jennifer did, I would have never known her story. And that's
Yeah.
the part where I'm like, because even in the following episode, she was like, yeah, man, this guy kind of like took my power, kind of sucked, and I'm like, get more into it.
That's why. I
Get more
need to
into
learn
it.
a
Well,
little
Well, there's
bit
a reason
more.
they've kept her alive, I think. Because if
Right.
episode 3 was her trial, but Mrs. Hart's the one who died, maybe Jennifer was supposed to die there. Because it seems like a person has their trial, then they die.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
I don't know. It feels like there's more to Jennifer.
I really want her to live because I just was reading a recent Scarlet Witch comic and she's like hanging out with Man-Thing. And I'm like, I want to see that
Yeah.
somewhere in the MCU.
Also, Sashir Zamata's Jennifer Kale hanging out with Man-Thing.
Yeah,
is a very
exactly.
funny thing to do, and I would
Yeah.
really like that.
I hope that even if it's like mostly an Aubrey Plaza oriented episode, if we do not see a flashback with Sashir Zamata, I'm gonna have issues with this show by the end of it, just because not big issues. I still think it's been a great journey, but it just feels like they just added that line at the end of episode 4 where they're by the campfire, and that's as much as we're gonna get, and that's not enough. We gotta see her in her element.
I do feel like Lilia did say something to her of like, you're the future.
Yeah, you're the future.
And I feel like that. I think that if anyone has a chance to make it out alive, I think she's gonna make it.
It's absolutely gonna be her. But I also see where Eric's coming from, where it's like, I don't want any more of those crumbs. I want to see it, but I also understand not seeing it because her episode is just violence against women. Like she was like, oh, he took away my powers, and we see a man drowning her. And I'm not saying this is 100% the case, but I could see the team being like, do we really want a flashback of this man just like drowning a woman? Do we want to see that? And I'm like, that's the only leeway. I'm like, I understand if we just don't want to see it that way. But they gave us the story, so I'm like, I kind of need to see at least something.
They're gonna show that guy was Obadiah Stane.
If he is a direct descendant, he's like the great.
Tony, you won't believe how I got my powers. We gotta thank some sponsors today. On the heels of Obadiah Stane's reveal, we want to thank True Classic for sponsoring today's episode of the Break Room. You can have a wardrobe that's all killer and no filler. With cheaper than ever classics thanks to True Classics. True Classics sells t-shirts, hoodies, and jeans that are perfect additions for any wardrobe. For fall, they have long sleeve Henleys, waffle hoodies, jeans, button-ups, joggers, and more to make sure you'll have a cozy, stylish clothes to last you until the trees grow back their leaves. True Classic also has a ton of bundles and multi-pack options. I hung it up back there. Sorry.
I'll go get it because I want them to see how soft it is.
Eric's trying to find the shirt that I
love my facial expression.
Take off the shirt and put the shirt on.
This is just a plain white tee. You love the band. Buy the shirt. This is just a plain white t-shirt, but it's so soft and so nice.
Imagine
yourself
clinging to your chest while you wear it out or as an undershirt. It caresses your shoulders.
That's right.
And drifts you back to sleep.
Can I ask, what's a waffle hoodie?
It's a delicious hoodie. No, it's that waffly pattern. Or it's like I think it was a waffle sweater, right? Like that kind of waffly material.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You know, like a pancake turtleneck.
I'm not describing it at all. I just keep repeating
using
waffle.
the word waffle in it.
It's like that. It's that sweater material that it looks like a Stroop waffle.
If you don't know, it's okay.
An omelet corset.
I don't know the best way to explain it. I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Why did you ask?
It's a wonderful
I'm breaking
thing.
down emotionally because of this. Fall is here. It's time to step up your game. Right now, you can unlock big savings when you buy bundle packs. Just go to our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/breakroom to save. That's trueclassic.com/breakroom. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. We also want to thank our sponsor, Via, makers of premium, federally legal THC and CBD products. Via has a product for everyone, including us. All of Via's products are grown indoors in state-of-the-art facilities and harvested at peak THCA levels to emphasize a natural aroma and flavor. They add strains to their selection every week, so there's always something new to check out. Via has THC and THC-free gummies, vapes, topicals, and drops, which are all crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independent-owned American farms. Plus, Via ships legally to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. If you're 21 or over, check out the link to Via in our description and use code BREAKROOM to receive 15% off. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. This fall, enhance your everyday with Via. That's a freebie.
We got them last night, and we were looking at all the stuff in it, and we were like, well, this is pretty good.
Pretty good looking stuff? Pretty
What's
nice stuff.
THC-free gummy? Is that just a fruit snack?
That's like
Basically, it has. We literally talked about this last night. It has the other thing that I think it's
like
because
CBD.
it's the CBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the CBD that's in it because most of them are like for relaxing, calmness. One's for pleasure.
Yeah. So as we look ahead into the finale week, we just want to use this episode of the After Show just to answer as many questions as we can from you guys. Starting with, is Lilia gone for good? We talked about this at the beginning, but do we think that this is like with the closed loop of her dying and then going back to her childhood lesson for the tea leaves? Is she done?
I like the ghost idea and everything, but I do think this was such a perfect death.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who I really believe that sometimes like death can make a television show better. Death, I want to hurt. I like when TV shows hurt me. And in Marvel, a lot of times deaths get reversed, and this was just too good to reverse.
Yeah.
Alice, I would like to see.
Yeah, Alice feels like you didn't get enough.
That's why I think it's you gotta get one or the other. You either bring them back or you don't, and that's why I'm like Alice also has to be dead. I think Rio being like I want my bodies confirms like oh she's taking them. So Sharon's also dead. Sharon is dead. Alice is dead, and now Lilia is also dead. And yeah, it does make for it. I don't like that we have to kill them, but it does make it more dramatic and more. It makes us closer to that character.
Yeah.
If she didn't die that episode, I'd have been like, this was a great episode for her. But she died, and I was like, I'm emotionally impacted.
Yeah.
I mean, Lilia lived for hundreds of years. I think she got.
That's why Alice is sad.
Yeah.
That's why Alice is sadder. I think we just didn't get that much time with Alice, which made me not as impacted. I was like, oh, damn, that sucks. She just broke her family's curse.
Yep. Death is what gives life meaning. As Vision said, something is special not because it lasts, right? And I think what this episode was a triumph of, beyond what Lost accomplished with the Constant episode, which I think is one of my all-time favorite 45 minutes of TV, or the episode 5 of The Haunting of Hill House accomplished with that amazing reveal, is like almost one of the best case studies I've seen in a type of story that appeals only to people of a certain age and older. Of am I past my prime? Has everything important to me happened in the past? And I think for a lot of us, as we get older, we see things like 30, whatever under 30, 40, whatever under 40, and I hate those lists because it worships youth as a virtue, and youth is nothing. It's something we have all had and then lose at some point. What is valuable is wisdom and life experience. And Patti LuPone did an amazing job playing a character who felt like the most important things she had been through in life were behind her, but what she is realizing is that the most important, perhaps, thing that she can do come in the final 1% of her life. Yeah. And what a beautiful story that is to just show kind of like this boomer fantasy that other movies like Cocoon and Bucket List have done a very cheesy version of. Cocoon is a perfectly fine movie. I don't mean to diss Ron Howard. But
what about Cocoon 2?
Back in the Cocoon?
Back in the Cocoon.
But like,
good.
I just think it's a beautiful story that Agatha is a show that appeals to a younger audience, and just to show that like, hey, the best things are yet to come in your life. That even though it's hard for you right now, wherever you are, you may reach a certain age, even in your 60s or 70s, where you feel like, did I live a valuable life? And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still contribute something important and meaningful. And I just thought it was beautiful. It almost felt like almost a better version of that Dylan Thomas quote that got repeated throughout Interstellar, like, they're not going to lay into that good night. Like, it was just really beautiful.
You had such a beautiful description.
And then ended it on a Michael Caine impression.
With a bad Michael Caine impression.
Yeah, that quote that always gets repeated. She was only 17 years old. You're only supposed to build your buddy doors off. Everyone loves that quote.
Is that why that's why we're going to get demonetized for
probably.
this episode?
Yeah. You can say the word 17. You can say it. Yeah, I think you're right, Eric. Like, it was a beautiful way to kind of like wrap up this story. Especially, we learn even in this episode that she is regretted, or she is like doubted her powers forever because like she saw like her whole coven dying back in the 15th century, couldn't do anything, and then the Mishra's like, death comes for us all. Would have been good to know for a couple hundred years ago.
I'm like, I wish you would have told me.
She could have used that lesson earlier. But yeah, I think it does sum it up really nice, and I do hope this is maybe more of a permanent death for this character. Though, on the heels of that, as she's leading everyone out of the trial, right, she says to Agatha, she says that warning, she says, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. So if that's something that's happening later in time, how does Lilia know about it? If she's not alive to see
Time's
it,
an illusion.
so she can see beyond her life.
Well, I feel like she is seeing things that she could have seen this when she was a kid somehow.
Right.
But like maybe, but you're right. Where was she? Is she like inside of a mouse or something?
Yeah.
But only
cool.
because how would she see that?
Yeah. I guess if you, to answer my own question, because she saw like the teens future, what was going to happen to him, and yes, she would be alive when it happens, But maybe she can see other people's futures, even if she doesn't exist on this plane when it happens.
She's a
right?
crystal ball lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it seems, of course.
And now
Because
it all clicks.
If she
right?
did see the car accident, she wasn't there during the car accident.
Right, but she's like alive. She's physically on the earth when it happens.
But I think that still answers the question of she doesn't physically have to be there to
Right.
see Agatha.
Or she was driving the truck.
Or she was
like, I promised this kid was gonna die. I gotta make sure it happens.
I love that idea.
I won't get another job at a bar mitzvah if I don't kill this kid.
You just wrote a great movie, which is a psychic who isn't a real psychic, so
Who
they
makes-
have
She
to
has
go
to-
with
oh
some
my God.
like
What is
slasher movie.
What is that? Isn't that the Jake Gyllenhaal movie?
Nightcrawler?
Yeah, Nightcrawler.
He kind of makes his own news, I
Yeah,
think. in a
stages the
way.
scene.
Yeah.
That'd be very fun to do.
Yeah, I feel like, we've seen evidence of like Doctor Strange seeing beyond the blip. Like we didn't know as of the end of Infinity War that he'd be coming back. We knew, but we didn't know how long that would be, and he could kind of see beyond, his absence. Also, I think, the ultimate unstuck in time consciousness displacement story is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-5, and he kind of jumps around within his own timeline, and I believe at some point his consciousness jumps into like the ultimate future, and it's just a purple void,
Oh, yeah.
and that's supposed to be like death.
Yeah.
Like he can see in the beyond in a way. So I wonder if like, we also have like, there's whole things in Tolkien of like, how did Gandalf know what Valinor looks like when he was describing it to Pippin in Return of the King? And he goes, the grey rain curtain rolls back, and beyond it, silver glass, and green hills rolling underneath the swift sunrise. Like, how does Gandalf know that? He's never been to Valinor. But, like, because when he was died and resurrected through E Olive Ave, that kind of gave him some divine insight into all things that the Valar may have control over. I'm using a lot of weird
Jessica
words
and I
here.
fell
Like
asleep.
he's a
Jessica's
wizard.
like-
I didn't fall asleep.
No, I fell asleep too. It's okay.
You brought up 3 properties that I have not seen much of, and I went,
It was like
Interstellar.
when Gandalf said, "What good are those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody lump?" That was my favorite Gandalf line. But yeah, Lilia is kind of like Neo at the end, right?
I know Neo.
She's tapped into the Matrix. She sees the code, and she's like, "Hey, I'm telling your future. You're leading the path, Jennifer. You got to do this. Hey, Salem 7, guess what? I'm flipping this shit, and now you're dead."
Scoop.
Yeah, it could be that. What do we think it means, though? She says, when she calls you, when you hear coward, hit the deck.
Yeah, I assume it's
Somebody
Death
wanna-
calling her a
yeah.
coward, right?
And we've seen in trailer footage of like something flying and then Agatha ducking
A
beneath it.
lover's
So.
quarrel.
Yeah.
But then this could be this show's been good about red herrings. So they want us to think it's Rio. Maybe Wanda's showing up. I don't know.
I was like,
Wanda comes in and calls her a coward.
I can
There's
see it also
two-
being
yeah.
the flashback. It could be a flashback where it's like,
Oh.
oh, we're going to see this flashback, and for some reason it's like a duck. When she said time's an illusion, I went, okay, time's off the table. I want to see every weird thing happen now. And I could see her in a flashback being like, wait a minute. And ducking down.
I'm gonna duck this time.
I'm gonna
It is
duck this
giving me
time.
like the penitent man kneels before God, right?
Oh,
And,
yeah. Cool. I like
maybe
that.
there'll be a giant saw that comes for her, and then that's all it was.
I hope she gets called a coward like 8 times.
And she's like,
Which one?
Now?
Which coward am I?
And then finally she doesn't duck for the 8th coward, and that's when she gets smacked in
Yeah,
the
she
face
just
by
gets
something.
like sawed
Right,
her
yeah.
head off.
Here's a little question I was thinking as this episode was kind of wrapping up, and we learned that Rio is death, right? Is the reason Rio is here is because she's after these like specific witches? Because besides Alice Wu, right, all of these witches have kind of lived beyond the normal lifespan of a person, and are they cheating death in a way that death is angry, and so death has inserted herself into this coven so she can finally collect these witches that have avoided her for so long?
This is a good question. I think that she didn't come specifically
Or
for
she's
them.
here just
I
for
think
Agatha.
that it's partially for Agatha, but I also think that she knows by going on the witch's road, there's going to be death. Like, it's like an easy win. But I do like the idea of, but like Alice doesn't fall into that category.
Yeah.
So, and neither did did Sharon. So I really think it's like, oh, well, these gals are going to die. But I also think a part of it too is she just like missed Agatha a little bit.
I think she
Yeah.
definitely missed Agatha.
Yeah.
I also think there could be something there that like witches are more delectable for death than a human would be. So it's like, oh yeah, I could take these ones. It takes a long time for witches to die. It's like
They're like dry aged steaks because
Yeah.
they've been alive for so long.
it's like a very. I could see that witches being like wine, being like the best they age, the more they age, the better they are. And it's like, oh yeah, death Death would absolutely want that. Like, why wouldn't Death want that? And also, it's Aubrey Plaza playing Death, so she's gonna be like, "Ooh, they taste delicious." She's gonna say some line like that.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued that kind of Death and the teen showed up at Agatha around the same time, and if one begat the other. Was it that like Death didn't know where Agatha was for a long time until after this hex, until but Agatha shows up before the teen does his incantation,
Right.
Or Rio shows up before the teen does his incantation to kind of start freeing Agatha. Is it just because the hex went down, or Wanda dies and now that spell is gone? So
It's hard because things and stories just happen when they happen.
Sure, that's why there's a
Yeah.
story.
But you're right to ask this because we have questions of cause and effect.
I
for
saw
sure.
speculation when we were getting the Billy flashback that it seemed like maybe Agatha wasn't talking to anyone. It was like, was Rio actually there? Was Agatha
Right.
just imagining her like she was
Oh, that
imagining
would be
anything else?
fine.
But I don't think that is. I think we're gonna get in the flashback. I think it's gonna span way back when and then come up, like you said, get her perspective from Billy's time. I think that we're gonna see why she got there at that time. I think that question will be answered.
It will be nice to see why specifically that time, because she did mention that she was hiding behind the Darkhold, so no one could sense her. And then, or it could have been that like Wanda died, and then because she said you're hiding behind the Darkhold, no one could find you. We can now find you, and it's like, but you waited 3 years of her in this bubble. Could it be that Wanda's magic covered her scent?
I
And she
think
had to
that's
search. Yeah, if she's still in the Earth, she probably it was like searching the entire globe for this one woman, and then being like, oh, I finally found her. I found her scent.
Yeah, I think a kind of overly convenient answer is that this is just the destined fate for all these characters to meet when they meet and re-meet when they meet. Like, this episode makes a very strong case for the MCU actually being governed by a sense of predestination. And like, I know Avengers Endgame postulated that we're in a universe of branch timelines and a multiverse of possibilities, but even Marcus and McFeely by the end of the movie couldn't even fully commit to that by suggesting that old Steve Rogers had actually lived his entire life looped back on a singular timeline and living in the background of the MCU we had been watching for 10 years, which I think is a crazy interpretation, but that is what they settled on because it's easier for most of us to think that way when it comes to time travel. And I think this case just shows that, like, Lilia didn't change the past by going back and looping back on these moments. She just kind of fulfilled that own destiny. So I think what they could just say is that, Billy meeting with Ralph Boner was kind of the inciting incident for him, like finally connecting with someone who is in Westview and discovering that little YouTube sigil Easter egg the way we do, and figuring out, oh, there's something going on in Westview. I need to talk to Ralph Boner, and figuring out that like Agatha Harkness is someone to talk to, and that Death, as someone who is clued into that destiny, finally was like, oh, something's about to happen. So now I can return into Agatha's life and mess with her and help her claw her way out of this spell.
That makes sense too. And as Lilia said, right, like time, we all perceive time a certain way, but that's not how time works, right?
Yeah.
She's very clear on that. Why isn't the TVA there to stop all this tomfoolery, huh?
Because something else is probably happening.
I think witches kind of live on their different rules.
Yeah.
In a way. Like, because like Eric said, they're not changing time.
Right.
She's just jumping between it.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
witnessing it and reliving it. Yeah.
That's funny that TVA is like, oh, we don't mess with witches.
Oh, we don't mess with that.
We stay away
They
from
have
That might be
8,000
why.
Infinity Stones,
Yeah.
but no.
They brought one
no,
witch to the
yeah.
TVA once, and it did not go well. We're not doing that again. Now that Death has been revealed to be Rio Vidal, right, and it seems like this is maybe our new main antagonist for the series, does this mean the Salem Seven, do we think they're dead? Capital D dead?
I hope.
We'll
Is
never
that
see
what
them
Jessica
I
said?
did. I said I hope.
We'll never see them again. Were they just kind of a MacGuffin to get them into the road, and now they're...
I think they're the point of them was that they're a little scary, and that this
Right.
is a horror show. They kept like, this is a little scary, the show, and it's Disney scary. But it feels like they're done, and I think that's totally cool. They had a cool ending.
Yeah.
I think people were immediately like, oh, it feels like kind of a throwaway. I also think people are saying that are trying to nitpick the episode. They're trying to find one reason they don't like the episode. But I think that's because when we see them in the flashback, they're going to be way more prominent and important. And that's going to impact what happened last episode.
Yeah, then it will just raise the questions like, is it a satisfying way to tell a tertiary character, a group of characters' story by showing the finality of their arc and then going back to why they were important. And to that I say, watch Lost, my friend, because that happens several times with several characters. And there's all kinds of great storytelling. Jessica,
Lost has
we're
come
gonna
up
make you
4
watch
times, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Every time I start to watch Lost, because this job has me flying all over the goddamn world. World, because I went to Germany, and then I came back.
Why are you so angry about it?
No.
We
because
tricked
I watched,
Jessica
I
into flying
turned,
to
I was
Germany.
like, oh, I have 2 hours before my flight, or like 5 hours. Let me just watch Lost because Eric keeps talking about it.
You did?
I thought it was a boat ship. I didn't know it was a plane
Yeah, she
that
watched it on a
crashed.
plane.
A boat
That's not
ship?
Yeah, everyone kept saying
eventually.
they were like it landed on an island, so I was like, oh, okay, a ship. They were probably on a cruise ship that goes to it. I didn't know shit about. Lost came out when I was in elementary school.
You have to keep
So I
watching,
did,
Jessica.
and then my mom did not watch it. So
Youth is not a
imagine me as an
virtue,
adult.
Jessica.
There's a glorious boat ship called the Black Rock that goes to the island, and there's a character on that ship who has a fascinating time travel related story on the show. Someone you might say
so
is
now
like
time
Lilia
travel is
Calvert.
in
I
Lost?
feel like I'm with BD again.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's had these conversations too. Yeah,
love
you don't
Lost.
have to watch. You don't have to watch Lost, but you
No
should.
one
We should. It's
has
fine.
to watch Lost.
Also, Jessica, we are the same age. Just putting that.
No,
out there.
but if your family watched it, you probably watched it, right?
My dad was super into Lost.
Yeah, my mom does not watch Lost. I feel like people forget that, like, this is me ranting now. People forget, like, oh, there's meals I never had. I never had an avocado until I was in college because my mom hates guacamole. So I just never did. And that's the same with Lost. My mom never liked it, so it never was on in the house, and I chose to be a child and watch Foster's Home for Imaginary
There's a
Friends.
lot of guacamole in Lost, and she was like,
And
no.
my mom said,
Yeah,
get that out of here.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes. You can take your time with it. It's all on Netflix right now. But regardless of Lost, I do think an argument could be made that these characters were just kind of like these Salem Seven. It would have been nice to learn more about them if they were just going to be a visible horror. It could have been. I think they were pretty cool. The costumes are very cool. The physical performances are very
Practical
cool.
animals were great.
Yeah.
That wasn't real.
Those were all real
The
animals.
snakes?
They
That was a fox up in there.
I get the fox.
Yeah.
The snake did not look
that
like
might
a
have been
snake.
a CG snake, but I'm sure they recorded an actual snake.
That was a
It's
good-
like-
that was
'cause,
a good behaved fox.
Yeah, the show creators, they wanted to base all the animals on animals in New England that these feral witches had like kind of turned into.
so
And at one
foxes,
point, they
yeah.
wanted to have one of them be a badger, but the animal wrangler on set was like, "You don't want a badger on this
You
set."
don't want a badger.
So they changed it. One of them was going to be a badger.
That would have
right?
been a horrible.
The animal wrangler was like, "We're not putting a badger on set. But
One
you
of
can
them
have
was
a rat.
going to
'cause
be
rats are great."
One was going to be a drunken Red Sox fan, just yelling at everyone.
Hey, it's
Yeah,
true.
I think I would have preferred a Man-Thing-esque beast, like some kind of beast, a Minotaur type thing that is chasing them down the road. Because then, if the Minotaur gets slayed in this episode, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
But the moment you give them a backstory, it's kind of like, well, I want to know more about that backstory.
And it's kind of a tragic backstory, right? Because Agatha killed their mom, so they tried to kill her, and I'm on her side.
Just
Agatha did
They
that
were left alone. They were these like feral kids who had to like figure out witchcraft on their own, and they went crazy with it. And they're like, "Whoops, sorry, no one fixed that."
A lot
Whoopsie.
of you may have spotted, we did only see 7 or 5 of the 7 actually hit swords at the end of the episode. There may still be 2 alive. I doubt it because I think that'd be very weird
That'd
going
be
into
so
the finale
weird.
if just like
Two.
2 of them. However, John did point out before we recorded that 2 of their forms, the cicada and the crow, are capable of flying, and they could have turned back into a swarm of cicadas or crows and then flew out the windows.
You think you would also just all change like rapidly, right? Just out of fear. You're like, oh, actually, I don't know if they saw that there were swords immediately above. They were like, oh, I'm just floating because the swords were at the ceiling. They came in and looked at Lilia. They didn't go.
But I also think, if we're doing like reboot rules, right? They get all the witches out. Lily gets all the witches out, closes the doors, and now the witches' road's got to reformat itself. And I think anyone who's left behind is just like dead. Like they'll just get wiped out regardless.
Yeah,
because there's nowhere to go.
The ceiling? It was about 18 feet. It's like 3 Julia Childs' height.
Is that how we measure things in the show?
Yeah, we usually go by Julia Childs.
Units of Julia Childs, like 2.5 Julia Children.
Yeah.
What do you mean by on this show? Is that not?
I'm so embarrassed. I didn't know that was a
This
number.
is a new
for us.
thing. I
It's a
did
big
not.
deal for us.
They have no idea what I'm doing. right
Everyone's
now.
got their Julia Child measurement shirts. Here's another question I have for you fine folks. I feel like teens, we still don't really know what teen wants out of the road. I think for me personally, like going into the series, I was like, oh, he wants his mom back. And then, it seemed last episode that he was concerned about Tommy. He wants to find Tommy and get Tommy's soul placed somewhere because he feels that kinship. But this episode, when he was getting his tarot reading done, the thing he wanted to know was like, am I Billy or am I William? So what do you think the teen's ultimate goal with this road is? What does the teen want at the end of this road?
I think you can want more than one thing.
Sure.
Right. I do think like they made it clear he does want to find Tommy. I think that that's an important piece of things he doesn't understand, and Tommy will also help answer that question: am I Billy or am I William? I think if you see your potential brother, I'm sure, I don't know, I'm an only child, so I'm just gonna guess. I would imagine that would unlock something in you that could help you answer the ultimate question of yourself too. And I think that we all kind of know that the answer is going to be that he's both. He can be both.
Yeah, you can be both. If you can just imagine, but he has to access the William memories before he can fully claim to be. Like, if we do use the Ship of Theseus argument, like the memories, the rot, the wear and tear on the planks is what makes you you. And I think he needs someone to help him remember what William Kaplan has gone through up to the day of his bar mitzvah. And then he can look at the Billy Maximoff side of things as just like a weird dream in a sitcom-themed hex that he lived a week in.
Yeah, he was barely alive.
Barely alive.
People online are offended that he's not considering, like, he doesn't think of Wanda as his mom, and he's like, first of all, he doesn't have those memories. And second of all, he was alive for 5 days.
Yeah, and also, that's not his mom.
I don't know. Does he know how much we like Wanda? Because when he was like, I don't care about Wanda, I was like, excuse me?
Well, he didn't get to spend that time.
I don't care.
We all watched the movies.
Yes.
Also, and that's the thing. He doesn't. He's like, all I heard is that she trapped a lot of people in New Jersey, and now they're all sick to their stomachs when they hear the name.
Yeah, well, she had every right to do that.
Okay.
She's been lied to
I
constantly.
will fight for Agatha, but I'm not fighting for one.
I'll fight for both of them. They're both wonderful women, and I wish them the best.
This boy has no memory of singing for ice cream.
That wasn't him! That was the most corrupt version.
I think that is a destined canon event for every Florida Maximoff in the universe to improvise an ice cream song.
Quick, Billy, I need you to sing the ice cream song to distract Kang.
We should take a
let's get some super chats going.
Quite a few. Some nice comments. Corey Sims, thank you for your super chat, saying, "Girl, Jessica, you look good." And I'm not going to read the rest of that, but he said, Torch says, "Bring back Jamie all the time. She is the best.
Yeah,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best." Jamie, you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you so
on the
much.
show.
I'm having so much fun.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., are you going to watch it immediately?
I'm so happy Gina's not here right now.
Keyston says,
Does
Jess,
Gina hate
you
Agents?
No,
effing...
Gina loves it.
I'm not going to repeat the rest of that, Keyston. God, guys, come on. But thank you for your super chats. It's not that bad. It's just,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a great show.
Yeah. Alia Aloha says, Death is an anti-heroine. I don't think she's a villain, Alia says. Excited for her hopefully continuing in the MCU, maybe with Deadpool, maybe tease him, Thor. Well, thank you, Alia.
I want him more with all the Mystic stuff now. Blade and everybody else that's not coming back.
Oh no, Jessica, you were not on our show earlier this week about Blade.
And
anything you want to say about Blade?
For the best. If we do a show, it's going to be an hour of me. I'll call Wesley Snipes. Also, I'll get his number and
Get
be
him
like,
on the show.
"Did you have something to do with this?" But no, we're not going to get. Because I want her more with like the Moon Knight group and like Blade and I almost said Nicolas Cage.
Get Nick Cage in there!
No,
you heard it here first.
No, I didn't say it.
Get him in the cage. Cage in the cage.
Cage the cage. Cage the cage.
Cage
himself.
fight with Cage.
My favorite Nick Cage quote is, of course, the first step is the reveal.
Stop.
The second step is the turn. And finally, the prestige.
I have a question that's not Brandon being a dumb idiot. Do we think, I was talking to my roommate when we were watching the show, and I was like, do you think there's going to be like that post-credit scene reveal at the very end where she like goes to her hovel or hell or wherever Death will go and Wanda's there?
Oh, she has Wanda the whole time?
Well, if she collects witches' dead bodies, it's like, oh, wouldn't you know? She's the only person I think on the show that would know if she's dead or not.
Is she like actually there, or is she like Jackie in Yellow Jackets, where she's just like,
oh my god, it's just, you just spoiled it for everybody.
That's
But
first
if you don't
season.
watch Yellow Jackets,
It is his first season. It's first season.
I think Wanda will be there, but it'll be like the judge in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where she's flat.
Oh my
like after it gets run over by a steamroller.
Yeah.
But
It should be like,
do you remember my eyes, Sonny? You remember me, Billy, when I killed your brother? But I do think it's interesting that I'm like, no one's asking her, and she's the only person that would know. And we do have that little, we shared it, Jennifer Kale in that room. Is that for next episode, the little art? That might be, I immediately was like, oh, it's the body room. It's the room where Rio keeps the bodies. And if Wanda is in there, like her body is physically there.
Cool.
There's 2 more episodes left of the series, but they're both coming next week, so it'll be the final episodes of the series. And our biggest thing we haven't seen yet is this room that, you were saying very early on looked like a morgue, and then even more... The purple room with like the lights at the top, and there's the shot of Agatha and Billy.
Yeah, okay.
But the poster for the next episode features Jennifer Kale being in that room, which I don't think we'd seen her in there before.
Yeah, it's right here.
Just
Because we can't
it's
pull up
very
graphics.
quick.
Otherwise. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, duh,
We
we
didn't
could
have it
do
ready.
that.
We didn't have
But
it
I'm
ready.
dumb, and
They
I'm like,
shared
look
it.
at my screen.
Didn't they share it
Take a
kinda
photo
like,
of your screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna draw a picture of
No.
this.
Didn't
And,
they share it like randomly too? So that's the only reason why I was making sure everyone has seen it. Because it was like, I only know it because Erik sent it to all of us. I would not have found it otherwise, I don't think.
It's so she's gonna be there. I think your theory's right. I think this is gonna be the bodies of everyone who has died along the road and maybe in the past in that.
Oh my god, we see like Agatha's first coven if it exists. If it exists,
They're all
if
gonna
it's
be
true.
there. The Salemites will be
Not-
there.
Did no one ask questions about the train?
Let's talk about the train. If we get a question about the train,
sorry.
let's cut off the super chats or get in like in the next 3 minutes any other super chats. But after that, we can't promise we'll get to all
Papa
of them
Voss
because
said
there's
you got
so
3
many of
minutes.
them. There was a subway car in
Yeah.
the tunnel in this episode that was. Does anyone have any thoughts or
I
theories
didn't
about
even
that?
clock it. This is why I try to watch things twice.
Oh, I watched it twice. I
Yeah.
immediately watched it. But when we saw it, there was a symbol. There's a symbol on the train. First off, the train looks like it doesn't run. Even if Jennifer was like, "That's the train out," I was like, "It looks broken
Oh,
down."
I understand now.
Yeah, yeah.
Subway
It was
car.
either take the train. Lilia
Like a
basically was like,
subway
take the.
station.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like, take the subway, or we're gonna go finish the duty. And I was also like, Jennifer, you can't leave them. Like, and I don't think you can get out of here on the train yourself. It looks broken. Did you figure out that symbol?
She's leaving. Leaving.
On
On a midnight train to Georgia. It's a W and V, so it's a reference to what Sharon brought up in the
Yeah,
past
the
that Westview
underground.
had an underground transportation grid, and then she's like, I thought all that was down here. Is it tunnels?
That's how she said.
Amazing Deborah Jo impression.
She said,
You
I
don't
thought
have to lie to
all
him.
that was down here was about a train tunnel. But now, this is right.
I would like to apologize to Jessica and to Jamie for the Boner Brothers just doing a lot of bits here.
Boner Bros!
Oh my god, you guys.
What we
are.
need are shirts for all of you so it can be a true family reunion. Yeah, so I think that's what it was. I think it was a train, and I think it is like a way for them to get out.
Is that insane that the train went to literally the Witch's Road? The
Is that
train
it?
in Westview?
I
It is
think
very
it's
weird.
still part of the magical thing. It's
Yeah.
just I think that once you get to there, you get on, and then it magically transports you back. I don't think it's a real
Yeah, it's
train
the
in
real
the
train.
real world.
Because I was like, you remember in WandaVision where we saw the like layers of the ground?
Right.
Like, remember, and what was there? There was something specific there that we
There
were
was
like,
a helmet.
Grim Reaper's helmet
Yeah,
in the
something.
floorboards.
I'm like, would all that shit be in the?
Very Simpsons-esque gag
Yeah.
where you go through the levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the train is like a metaphorical
Yeah.
train. Oh God, get it.
But I think
talking
because-
about trains.
I think even because...
Not trees again.
Dun, 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 dun. Thomas comes in.
I didn't know what
got
that
it.
was.
Dun, 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 dun.
I think because, Mrs. Hart had said that line on the road took that line and manifested
Oh, I like
it
that.
there. You know what I
that's
mean?
a fun.
Though it's still, this whole road is still, so much relates back to Billy's room, Billy and William's room, right? And again, Billy started this trial. He picked up the things first. I still wonder if this is all just like Billy has created this whole thing that like maybe the Witch's Road isn't even a real thing, but because Billy believed in it and he has all this magic, he kind of manifested its own reality.
Yes.
Because I don't think Agatha ever walked down it. He called it out again. I don't know if anyone's ever walked down it. It was ever real until Billy made it real.
Every baby boy has baby boy trains, and Uncle Baby Billy had trains in his room, I'm sure.
Would that, in the most respectful way to him, wouldn't that make him a little too powerful?
Well,
like,
he
what's
even
her
said
name
like,
in-
I didn't do it on purpose. He didn't know how to use the
Well,
magic.
neither
that
did
happened.
what's her name in
Wanda didn't know how to
Secret
use her
Invasion,
magic.
but I was like, now that you made her the most powerful being, there's no point. Yeah,
Gaia?
I said
You
give
talking
her
about
that big head, tiny body.
You're talking about when I drafted Gaia on my team and won because she's the best person to have on your Avengers team
we're
because she
not
has
doing
every
it.
power.
Jamie, please.
I don't think that Billy created the road because
Yeah.
I feel like that's. I don't care if you stick with the comics, whatever.
Sure.
But I think that might be a little too much of a diversion, and just the idea that like because Wanda walking the road is such an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The idea that like it wouldn't have existed until Billy created it, I think would be an odd choice for them creatively.
I agree, but wasn't it? Maybe it was just us a odd choice to be like, oh, Billy's lying this entire time. Like, remember the reveal of like he kind of knew all of this stuff was about to happen,
Right.
or
He
not?
knew what
he knew.
sigils were.
Yeah.
He
He
always
was
picks
just
up the
lying
clue,
to
the
us.
activation
Yeah.
clue.
We
of
were
everything.
like, we were saying a lot. Like, if this is a dupe, I'm gonna be very irritated.
Yeah.
I think I agree. That dupe would be a little too much, but I'm like, it's not too crazy from what they've already done.
It's kind of like Inception in a way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hated that I just said
I've
that.
seen Inception though.
In that each setting of the Witch's Road trials is something important and needed to be provided by the witch who was going through that trial, but the decoration of it, the set decoration, was kind of done by Billy, because there are stuff in his room, like the triangular string lights, is in his bedroom, and also
he's got
in
an
the cabin.
hourglass in his room. He's got tarot cards
That's
in his
He's
room.
got Wizard of Oz
I feel
figurines.
like the road is going to mold itself.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it has been doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I think it totally makes sense. I think that the road is pulling less than Billy's creating.
Yeah.
He was also the first one to go on the road, and maybe because he stepped on first, it pulled mostly from him.
Yeah.
That's a
It
good
could also
point.
be like
And all of his memories are that room. Because he has no memories of Billy, he has no memories of William until the moment he hopped into the body. So most of what he knows is that room.
Yeah.
It could also, it could be that also, like, the show is called Agatha all along, but the star of the show could really be Billy. And the road recognizes, like, hey, all of you are crazy, but this is my center of attention.
I like this kid.
I like him a lot. That was just my normal voice.
Some more super chat questions?
Yeah, John, do you want me to go through them, or what do you want
Up to you. Up to you. I
and
closed.
forth, back and
Super
forth.
chats are now closed. Thank you so much for submitting. We're
thank you,
going to
everybody.
try to get through all of them. You guys have been so generous. There's a ton to get through, so we're probably going to run a little bit long today. If you guys can all stick around, if you have to jet, you have to jet, and I'll
fine.
sit here by myself, crying and reading super chats for the next few hours.
That's what you usually do every day.
Speaking of the
at this
Jets,
job.
they did a bad job.
Don't. Hey, whoa. We
didn't
didn't need
do
that.
Poor John.
I didn't
He
need that today.
He didn't need that.
what we do need is Dylan Borgiel's super chat. Thank you, Dylan, asking, do we think Agatha went on the road at all?
No. I think she's lying. What do you think? You think she
I
did it
wanna,
before?
I wanna believe she's lying. I want to believe, but I wouldn't be surprised. I want to believe she's lying, but I think she did. I think she did.
I'm kind of the opposite, where it feels like everything is pointing to she's lying. She
Yeah,
doesn't really
right?
know what's going on. But I like the idea of her having done it before.
Yeah, I think that's what I kind of
Because if on her like wiki page it says "Walk the Witch's Road,"
Right.
Is the whole wiki wrong? Have we been lied
Wait,
to?
Wikipedia's never
What
wrong.
if she's the one updating her
Yes.
own wiki?
Yeah, I just like, as long as
I
she's
am
still
Jolene.
Jolene, like, you know,
That's so
was she on the
funny.
Titanic? This just turns everything into a big question mark.
Right, I know. I think she's been on the Witch's Road. I just don't think she completed it.
Okay.
Like, I think she survived
She
it.
got out of the tunnel, whatever.
She
it
found
may
a
have been.
loophole. Yeah, she took the train to Georgia.
I also there hasn't been really, we haven't seen what happens when you cheat. Like, just because they like cheated one, or like Agatha didn't even cheat when she was drinking the wine. Nothing really bad happened, but I could see Agatha the first time cheating something out of getting out of the Witch's Road.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Jay, thank you for your super chat. Says, it sucks that the episode we finally get more backstory for Lilia, she dies. I knew it was coming, but still hit hard. Cry emoji. Well, Jay, to you I say, what is grief if not love persevering? Something is not beautiful because it lasts. And the fact that you're feeling that way is why Lilia's
Good job.
story is so special.
Good
Ninja
job.
Vestos, thank you for your super chat. If WM and TM show up at the end of this, what would you do? WM, Wanda Maximoff, TM, Tommy
Tommy
Maximoff, or
Maximoff.
Mr. Trademark?
I
don't know.
heard WTM and I was like, Wanda, Tommy Maximoff, Vision. Okay.
What are we going to do if we see Elizabeth Olsen and a version of Tommy show up at the end of this?
I would be very excited to see Wanda. I really hope she shows up.
I don't think we're gonna get Wanda.
I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna get Wanda, but if we get like I think there's gonna have to be that moment, and maybe this is a pull, but I would love to see like that same like sunken place that we saw Lilia falling in at the beginning of the episode, just like a dark room, maybe water on the ground, and we do see Billy or Tommy inside of the teen already, and he's like, what are you? And he's like, oh, me and your brother are like a part of you now. We're kind of both in here or something. Like, I want there to be like a conversation with a Tommy at one point, but I don't think he's going to find out who Tommy is on Earth by the end of this season.
I think we are 100% getting Tommy at the end.
Yeah.
I want to see this casting.
Is it a
Who's
grown-up
playing-
Tommy?
I think
I think
yes,
it's gonna be
equal
young
age. However old he is, 19, whatever. I want to see this casting. I do think we're getting Speed. I am very on the fence about whether or not we're getting Wanda. I would kill to have Wanda.
Yeah.
I would love it. But I don't think the show will lose anything if she doesn't show up. But I think it'd be awesome if she does.
I think we get a Wanda. She comes in. She sees Billy, she strokes his face, grabs his neck, snaps it, and we learn it's 838 Wanda, and she's pissed, and she's here now, and she's here for revenge.
She kills him?
No ice cream.
Yeah.
That'd be
She's
crazy.
like, I got my
No
own
ice
kids.
cream
I got my own kids, and they sing about ice cream.
She said, stop it!
Whether or not Wanda's dead, I think she's coming back, and it's our Wanda.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're getting some other Wanda.
No. I think our Wanda will not come back until she gets that movie. I don't think she's gonna show up.
I'm holding out.
Yeah.
Jack Schaefer.
Show me the
let us
paperwork.
have it.
Wanda's agent
Jack.
shows up.
Show me the money. Robbie, thank you for your super chat. What if Agatha owes Rio bodies for keeping Nicholas' soul alive in another vessel? She might have to kill and steal powers even if unwilling?
Unwilling.
T-W.
Unwilling.
Two different letters separating that on
I think we were
40.
typing really quick, maybe. Just in
Yeah,
the
I know.
chat. You can't edit the
Yeah,
chat. once
you
you
cut them off. They were rushing.
But yeah, what if Agatha, that's why Rio is taunting her. It's like, you owe me numbers.
I think that's a good theory, but I think there's some, again, like how we don't think Lilia can come back because that would just bring back a different storyline for
Right.
her. I think we have to, like, a spade's a spade. This is death. Death is not gonna let people cheat. Death is not gonna let, like, the way that she fell in love with Agatha, yes, but it's like, I can't. I have my own rules. I have to, like, I can't just keep letting people come back from the dead. That would go against everything that I stand for. I'm death. So I don't think that she was, like, keeping him in a different place for Agatha to see.
No, because then why would they be broken up?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Agatha would be fine. She'd be like, I could just talk to my baby boy.
They would have been kissing this whole time.
They would have been kissing this whole time.
No lips on that skull. No lips on that
You
skull.
can kiss somebody without lips.
It's just like kissing a coffee cup.
I don't know.
I don't think a
I don't think
skull's
you
made
can
of
kiss
the same
without
ceramic.
lips. I think you can
You're
kiss
just
the
kinda
skull,
smooshing.
but the skull can't kiss back. It's
I think
just
a skull.
friction.
Two
Just
skull,
keep touching.
We have a skull right here. And
All
I'm
right.
not going to kiss it.
Everybody?
You got to kiss it. You got No! Not until I sanitize it.
Micah, thank you for your super chat. After officially seeing Rio as death, it would be great to see one scene with Aubrey Plaza and Ryan Reynolds together in Secret Wars.
People really want
They
Deadpool
really
and
want
Death
Deadpool
getting
and Death.
together.
I just want to see them I want to see them riff
Yeah.
and make some jokes with each other. That's as far as I want it to go.
I don't want any comic book death coming in. I think we should just deal with Aubrey Plaza's new version of Death and what Jack Schaefer and them wrote for her. I'm like, I don't want to see her with Josh Brolin. I don't want to see her with. I don't
Not
want to see her
Thanos.
dating
You don't
these
want to see her
people.
with Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
No, I guess both.
I feel the same way about how in Children's Crusade, Wanda is marrying Doctor Doom, and it's like, I don't want to see Elizabeth
No.
Olsen with
I don't want to
RJ.
see this.
No.
That
No.
makes my skin crawl.
No.
Yeah.
Already I said through Godzilla where Elizabeth Olsen
Was-
with
Yeah,
Taylor
Johnson.
Johnson.
And it was
Same
shot.
here.
It
And
was
she's
right
with Josh
after.
Brolin in the Old Boy.
Yeah,
movie.
Oh,
no,
that's
boy.
right. Oh, no.
You can
no.
take a picture with both of them at New York Comic Con. And I was like, there's two groups of people here doing weird things. Doing weird things. People are like, I just wanted to do this for Old Boy.
Get out.
And it's so much worse in the
Yeah, it's so
context of that
much
movie.
A couple similar questions that we've addressed. Amy, thank you for your super chat. Is the road real or is it a hex created by Teen?
There
We
you
were
go.
talking about
Nice
that.
job.
Jareem, thank you for your super chat. Do you think they are actually on the road or do you think they are in a hex of the road that Billy created? Similar, we were touching on that before. We don't know if he created it. He just might be decorating it.
It's hard to see runes in the road when it's just forest.
Yeah, just
When it's
leaves
just
on the ground,
leaves and
dirt.
trees.
Aaron, thank you for your super chat. Says 4 ideas. Alice is Rio's fault because Agatha should be dead. Song at the end equals Tommy coming back and saving Lily. Only reality witches can make the road. Rio balances all even power so the boys can come back.
That was
think-
a long super chat.
Wow.
The
Do
song at the end thing could be, I mean, this is a little like Harry Potter, right? And the ghost coming out of the wand as he's fighting, like Voldemort, right? Maybe there's something at the end where they sing the song and the spirits, the souls.
A ghost
of these
musical
witches.
number?
Yeah, ghost musical.
Hey, you already got that in Beetlejuice.
It's Haunted Mansion, baby.
Grim grinning
I
ghost.
Grim
have
Grinning
no
Ghost.
limits to the amount of ghost
I will
musical
take
numbers.
$1 million.
Joshua, thank you. Did Lilia really die or just go back in time? I think what is death if not looping back on your life endlessly, learning new lessons, right? The cosmic egg. Look it up. Harry says, do you think all Salem 7 are dead? Only 5 bodies laying on swords. We were talking about
Yeah,
that.
we talked about
that.
Great
Dead.
observation, though. Cicadas and crows can fly. Lee Casanova, thank you for your super chat. Do you think we will get a full CGI version of Rio's face as death? It appeared that Rio's face was painted in this episode. It also does not look like the death as it was shown in the trailers. I don't remember seeing death in the trailers, but to me, it looked like it was VFX. It didn't look like it was
Yeah.
physically
It still looked
painted.
like VFX, but I did like your little note on the reaction of like, oh, we're going into Halloween and Dia de los Muertos is coming, and I love that like Aubrey Plaza might be just painted like a skull.
I
Yeah.
really like the idea of makeup more.
I love it. I also it's good for I like this version of Death so much, and I'm like, yeah, we don't need to really hide too much of her face. She's also like. It's a being. It's not even like a human being. It's an entity. So I'm like, it can be different versions of a lot of things. Also, this could be just how we see it. Other people could see like an actual skeleton coming at you.
It's because everyone on Earth
like,
is attracted to Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. It makes it easier for all of us.
Yeah.
It was interesting that Lilia saw her when she saw her. I thought too.
Yeah.
In that moment before she actually like dies, right? Kind of, she saw her in the tunnel before Jennifer was awake, right? That's when she saw her?
Yeah, right. She saw like a form of her earlier, and then it seemed like Death chose to reveal that particular form of herself in that moment.
But do you think Death can also jump through time like Lilia can and appear wherever she needs to appear?
That's why I was like, I think Lilia and Death have the most actual like twin relationship than anyone else, like Potions or Agatha or anyone else. I'm like, yeah, this makes sense because she's lived, not only physically has this woman lived through centuries and seen everyone die, she is probably like just through going back and forth in time has been like, here you are again, swooping
always
up.
jumping around.
Why are you here? Like they should get in a fist fight. And I put all my money on Lilia. Patty Lupone.
Patty can take off.
Patty Lupone. Oh my god.
Yeah, I do want to note. I did say that the Dia de los Muertos connection. Aubrey Plaza's Puerto Rican. She's not Mexican, but Dia de los Muertos is a holiday and a festival celebrated by lots of folks. You will never see me walking around. I don't want to accidentally culturally appropriate, but I love the whole concept of Dia de los Muertos, and I just love the idea of an ofrenda.
Yeah.
And God, I hope it's okay if I can set up ofrendas in my home for the people I've lost, because I just think that concept needs to be celebrated by every culture. It's just
beautiful.
An amazing concept.
It's beautiful, and Coco makes me cry every time.
I think white people do something else, like dance. I don't know what you guys do when people die.
Bury our emotions and never talk about it. Probably.
We piss on the grave of our enemies. I think.
Whoa, God.
Great.
Pose by the grave.
We do a little pose.
Yeah. Another super chat from Ronnie. Will Billy Blackheart end up as Mephisto's son? I think at this point Billy is not connected to Mephisto, but I do like the theory that was thrown out there that Agatha might be a progeny of Mephisto, based off of what her mother Evanora said about her from the moment she was born.
Would Evanora be the one? Wait. Oh, just a progeny. You're not saying like Evanora was with Mephisto, right?
Maybe. I'm not saying that. People, I saw it on the news, and I'm just repeating what I saw on the news. People are saying it. I'm intentionally altering the voice I'm doing.
Evanora gives like a very Smee statement where she's like, "I was just pregnant one day with."
There was no father.
There was no father.
Sacha Baron Cohen waltzed into my bedchamber.
Alice says, thank you for your super chat. Have great writing. Though through Lilia we get all the, I think they're just talking about the great writing in this episode, and each hero or villain gets a new beginning, and I agree. Yep, Robin, this feel of the episode reminded me of episode 8 of Watchmen. God walks into a bar. The HBO Watchmen. Oof. Agreed.
Yeah,
very similar idea of the way that nostalgia drug worked. Ariv, thank you again. Bracelet hinted at Rio in a way as well, gender fluid, and Agatha is lesbian colors. Bracelet is also a cool detail. Yeah.
I just bought the bracelet because I'm going to be 80s Agatha for Halloween tomorrow, and I was like, well, I gotta get the bracelet.
I gotta get that.
But as a bi woman, I'll have to give it away. I feel weird wearing a lesbian bracelet. Those are my colors.
I'm sure a lesbian is walking around with the bi bracelet.
Yeah,
and then we can just do the candy bracelet.
Like these guys with the swap.
Erica, thank you for your super chat. It's team both William and Billy. Yes. Shouldn't Rio have collected William's soul 3 years ago? Maybe. Is that why Rio has had her eyes on him, being that he escaped death? Maybe Agatha will sacrifice herself in his place to make up for Nick.
I think thinking of like the body as like a what is the sea creature that like that like it gets too big for its shell and it goes finds another shell.
Hermit crab?
There's still pieces of it left behind in the other shell that the other one, the new one, is taking.
Well, does Death take souls or bodies, right? Because they are separate things.
I think she's probably mad that it took the body, that the body is still walking around, but I think she still took the soul.
You think she takes the souls? I think she just takes the bodies, and the souls that gets determined by someone else.
Take the bodies though, because people bury them.
Yeah.
You know,
people will cremate their bodies sometimes.
Yeah, like I think that logically.
Also, astronauts, when they die, their bodies just keep floating out in
that's
space
why
endlessly.
I think
She's swimming out there.
I think it's a version of the soul, and this again gets into like the MCU and religion, where it's like, oh, where is she guiding these souls to? And I think it's like a version of this witch, of like death is like, I'm taking you into the afterlife. Yum, 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 yum. And she gets like 10% of the brokered dude.
I interpreted it because they call her like the first green witch, like the idea that like she gets the body because the body decays and goes back to the earth and she can reuse it. Like she doesn't care about the soul. That's useless to her.
She's just composting.
I still think she like, again, different in like, we just have different opinions. But also I'm like, religion in the MCU, I'm like, where is she taking it? I think she could guide it somewhere.
All of the way that they've described what death wants has been bodies, right?
Yeah,
in the scene in the recording studio, they talk about the bodies. There's a shot of Aubrey Plaza in potentially the next episode in her kind of like green form that says the bodies are really piling up, right? So I don't know. It feels like bodies is significant
But I think like then why is the son such a big deal to her and Agatha's relationship? Is it because of the body or is it because she wants her son back? Because that's a soul. I don't know. This is again difference in opinions. That's fine.
Do you have a soul when you're 13 years old? I'm just.
When you get your soul,
I didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, I was baptized. So when I was 13. So I'm sure there was a soul there.
So to some people, you did not.
Yeah, I know.
Some
people were like, "Where is it?"
Cheza, thank you. My thing about the Green Witch is I think everyone is misinterpreting it. I think the trick of the road is green means new, as in teen. So Green Witch, yeah, then it would kind of make me question, why did Rio say I was the Green Witch all this time?
And
like
they said
the only new thing?
They called her the original.
The original.
They did call her that. I feel like it's kind of like a Lucifer situation where she was like being a witch, but she was maybe so obsessed with like death that Mephisto maybe like gave her that moniker, and then she went from this like witch, like of the original witches, and then got a promotion.
I like that because every witch has like their different code, or what, not code, but their different like project. Like the potions witch is like, oh, I'm dealing with potions. I like potions, but like a witch that's interested in death, nature and death go hand in hand. So it's like, oh. I'm gonna get more into this, and Mephisto was like, "Okay, looks like you're just gonna be death now."
Yeah, thank you, Cupid Boy. How's it possible Lilia gave everyone parting advice about the future? Didn't her abilities come from jumping around the timeline? Yeah, we talked about that before. That maybe just she has some divine insight that allows her to see in other people's futures. Yeah. But very good question, Ashley. Thank you. Do we think Nicholas is just Agatha's son, or Rio's too? Would make their relationship far more tragic.
Okay, can I just say? The idea, if Disney Plus, twice in the same year, took their two biggest franchises and gave us lesbian witch babies, that's going to be amazing. Yeah. I love it. Yes, please. But I really don't think that's what happened. I don't think so. But I would love it.
Yeah, I think that would be weird if like Agatha, if they were both Nicholas's parent, because like it's more heavy if like Agatha really cares and Rio's just like, it's just another body.
I'm also sure there's like a story of this on Tumblr or Wattpad that you guys can look into and then send to me directly.
Oh no.
Send to me.
Oh no.
Omega Paladine, thank you. Asking, I wonder now that the sigil is gone, if the next time Rio sees Billy, will she try to reclaim his soul? Yeah, we haven't seen Billy and Death back together since the sigil was broken.
Do you think Rio was pissed when they saved Billy on the road? When they saved the teen on the road, she was like, "Let him die." Let him die.
Do we think the next time Aubrey and Joe are in a scene together, Aubrey's gonna look at him, but before anyone can say anything, she's just gonna go, go right at him and crawl, and be like, "Whoa, that's all it took."
I will love it. I'm gonna actually head out. I have a phone call at 12:30 that I need to take, and I'm so sorry.
Everyone say bye-bye, Jessica.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
But also,
lovely meeting you.
We can switch out. Zach can take my spot.
Goodbye.
Also, switch to a different camera that's not on here because I don't want these weirdos seeing my ass.
Goodbye.
That was the best switch we've ever had.
That was, the edit on that was right away. All right, White Raven, 696. One thing I love about WandaVision and Agatha all along is how consistent they've been to the lore built up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, and Hellstrom. Yeah, they have been consistent. They have not negated it, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is MCU canon.
We also have some chatters from Twitch that have generously
generously
donated some money and asked questions. And I promised Sarah Hatchadorian at the beginning of the show I'd get a question.
Let's hear from Sarah.
And I owe her one, right?
That's fine.
She's got a great question, too. Do you think that the beginning, when Agatha said, "You'll get a headache trying to read my mind," was because she could sense Billy actually trying, or was she just making a joke in the silence?
I took it as a bluff. She didn't know if he was trying to do it or not.
Yeah, I think she was testing him in that moment.
I think she is shook. She feels like, what's going on? She feels like she's not in full control of the situation anymore. This kid's got a one-up on her. And so all she knows about Billy is that he was reading her mind as a little boy back in the Hex, and he thinks she's doing it now.
But he couldn't read her mind back then because he says to her,
Right.
"You're quiet, Agatha."
But he was trying to,
I
right?
think
Yeah,
I think that she knows he can't, but is like trying to suss out if he's trying.
Yeah. I think she was definitely bluffing in this episode about it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
A couple more here. One from Well-Rounded Mom asking, do you think Agatha ends up giving up her life to be with Rio?
To be with Rio, I hope that's. I'll accept it.
Yeah,
I mean, Rio
could
doesn't
see
like
it.
ghosts. She doesn't like ghosts. Could she be a zombie? Does Rio like zombies?
I
I
bet.
could see it. Does this show end with just like, the way Loki ended with a tree, a cosmic tree?
Yeah.
Is there a cosmic river that is at the end of the road that is like Styx and Rio Vidal, the river of life, is just gondola paddling her love down that river?
Cute.
Wow.
I don't want Agatha to
That's
die.
a dumb visual. I don't know why I even try. I don't know. It's a cool theory. What you said, not what I said.
Just a couple more here.
Yeah.
Trex. Gosh, Eric's better at this than I am. The tarot card, a 3 of Swords, is signified as the separation of the breakup of a significant relationship. Do you think that Agatha, being this card, will have to essentially break up with Rio and Death?
Oh.
I think it has more to do with Nicholas, like breaking off that relationship. I don't think that it necessarily has to be romantic. And I think that based on how sad she looks and the way that it was kind of mirrored in the teen scene.
When you're saying when Lilia saw, when she was like seeing the cards in real time, kind of.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when she saw Agatha as the 3 of Swords, she was above like dying Billy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's more connected to that relationship
Yeah.
than Rio. Not that I ever want to say anything against that Rio Agatha, because that's what I'm here for. But
Right.
I that's what I think.
Yeah. It just seemed like it was either with Billy or with her son. Like she's got to like finally let go of her son. Maybe that's what's been driving her antagonism this whole time, is she's so angry about Nicholas Scratch and Nicholas Sparks. She's angry about both of them. Do we have any Wenwu questions?
No Wenwu questions today. I know that they've been coming in quite frequently here. But we do have one last one from Ertelda Turtle. And I think we've covered this question before, but I want to shout them out. Thank you so much for sending in some bits here. Do we see Tommy in this series, either in the show or in a post-credit scene? And could Springfield, New Jersey be neighbors to East and West View?
I feel like Springfield's like, if they were going to do it, they would have done it in
Yeah.
one division. But I was born in Jersey, so I do like the representation.
Yeah.
We didn't name our HWICs, our head witches in charge for this episode. We usually like to pick who we think won the episode.
Oh.
Does anyone think it's not Lilia that won this episode?
That'd be
No.
She was like the best one.
It's
right?
definitely Lilia's.
Yeah.
was Lilia's
I
episode
don't understand how
through
you.
and
If your answer is not, then you have some kind of weird vendetta against Pat
Yeah,
Miller,
yeah.
and I want nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
Or
and I would
maybe-
not go against her because she will go against you.
Perhaps the Maestra, the
She
Maestra
really
from the
stole the show
15th
from
or
me,
16th
yeah.
century. She might have been in charge.
She had real I'm too old for this shit energy.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
just great. She was like, I don't care that all the witches are dying. That's what we do. We die. You can warn me all you want. We're dead.
Well, a huge thanks to everyone.
Yes, thank you for
We've
sticking
had
around.
this might have been the highest simultaneous watchers across Twitch and YouTube that we've ever had on the Breakroom, and that's just amazing. And we've been loving going on this Witches Road. You are all our coven. Thank you to Jessica, who had to leave early, but wonderful. As always, Brandon, great job, and Jamie, what a
Jamie, we're so happy
delight.
you're
Thank you.
here.
I
have
had
you
so much
here.
fun. I love this in-person business. Is awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I could do this for everything.
It just feels
great.
nice to be able to share
Get out
a
of the
table
Zoom
with
boxes.
some
Yeah.
very smart and creative nerds like you guys. And John, way to rock
Thank
it
you,
over there.
John.
And
Amy
Evan
is
Good.
not decided. He's a nice guy.
Oh!
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It's got
And
a face turn at the end of the episode.
they're not on screen, but we have Matt doing studio tech duties back there. Brian is back there. He's going to be assembling this all into a lovely YouTube upload later. Thank you,
He's
Brian.
so mad how long we've gone.
Thank you, Berg, for all your duties down in the chat. Everyone appreciates you, man. And thank you all.
gotta go.
Nerdright.shop, we got to run.
For
We'll
real.
see you next time. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Bye.